welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here, Manu. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Same here. Very, very happy to be back on campus.
Yeah. So I think this is where everything started for you.
Definitely, everything started for me. I'm from 99 batch, so I joined IIT in 99 and graduated in 2003. So it has been more than 20 years. So extremely back to be back where my entire life really started.
2003 was the year I was born, by the way.
Okay. No, thanks a lot for making me feel old. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So how did you get here? How did you first get to know about IIT, the ecosystem?
It's actually funny because I did not know about IIT.
Yeah.
When I grew up in a small town called as Meerut.
Okay.
And
I'm from Meerut.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Meerut?
Yeah.
Awesome. See, all Meerut people are very good.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I grew up in Meerut, and I grew up in a super joint family where the only aim was to open a shop. And
My father has a shop.
my entire family had a shop.
Yeah.
And my aim was to open up a shop. Like it could be any shop, like a tire shop or a cloth shop or a watch shop.
Yeah.
And when I was in 12th, my father got me. So I'd never heard of IIT when I was in 12th.
Yeah.
And my father got me an admission form for one of the government colleges
Okay.
in UP, and I got into it.
Okay.
And when I reached over there, the professor asked me that you have got such a good score. Why didn't you go to IIT or didn't you apply to IIT?
Okay.
And that was the first time I basically heard about IIT.
IIT, when you first went into college.
Into that particular college. So the government college, I got into computer science seat over there. And the professor asked me, so I said, oh, what is this IIT?
Yeah.
So then he said like, oh, IITs are these like great institutes. A lot of really good, intelligent, cool people go over there. And with that intent, I decided to drop off for 1 year. And my dad was pretty upset because he had already paid the fees for one semester, which was a big amount for us, which was around 15,000 rupees. In addition to this, my father was not really confident that I would actually end up getting into IIT, right? Because I was a very mediocre student in school. And then he thought I had gotten lucky by entering that government college. So he thought it was pretty stupid, but somehow I managed to convince my father. And then 1 year later, I entered IIT.
You entered IIT. So at that time, did you guys have coachings or how did it go about? So like dropping out of that particular government college, you were preparing on your own?
So I was mostly preparing on my own. I also was taking a little bit of coaching.
Yeah.
But we didn't have the kind of coaching which I guess is available today.
Yeah.
There were 1 or 2 institutes, but not too big.
Okay.
And in any case, we couldn't afford it. So it was mostly self-taught, but we did go to some local teachers and we studied from
local tuitions. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So then you get into IIT, you get good marks, everything. Why did you choose particularly IIT Delhi?
Okay, so my dad wanted me to go to. He always, because I came from Meerut, which is a small town, right? He was worried that if I were to go to IIT Delhi or IIT Bombay, I would probably bigad jaunga, right? So he would think that I would start doing weird stuff, crazy stuff, naughty stuff.
I think that fear is still prevalent within the parent community.
So my father wanted me to go to Kanpur or Kharagpur. And he had this belief that if I go to Kanpur or Kharagpur, because these are smaller towns.
More conservative towns.
More conservative. So I would not, basically bigdunga nahi.
Yeah.
And, but I really wanted to be in Delhi or Bombay, one of these two places. Yeah. And my logic was that I lived in a small town, so I wanted a little bit more freedom. I wanted to experience metros.
Yeah.
So my first choice was Delhi, second choice was Bombay. First because closer to home.
Yeah.
I could go home, I could meet my parents, meet my relatives. And Bombay was the second choice. Luckily, I got into IIT Delhi, so it just became home.
Did you have any preference for mechanical or did that just happen naturally?
It was based on my rank.
Yeah.
It was always computer science, electrical, mechanical, chemical, and then other branches.
Other branches that follow.
Based on my rank, which was around 400-ish something at that time. The branch which was available in IIT Delhi was
mechanical at that time. Perfect. So you come from a small town, you went to IIT. What is the scene here? How do you adjust here? Like, drive us through your story once you enter IIT.
I was, by the way, like extremely impressed by this whole infrastructure, this campus, because I'd never seen something like this. So when I still remember the date when I came here for the first time. That was for counseling. Me and my dad came.
Yeah.
We actually exactly came here and in this semester hall. This is called a semester hall.
Seminar hall.
Seminar hall, sorry.
Okay.
So in seminar hall, there was counseling. So I was extremely impressed to see such a large building. I'd never seen a building like this before in my life.
Okay.
So I was wowed. I was impressed. And my biggest concern was one, like it wasn't really about studies, but my biggest concern was that I came from a small town where even though I studied in an English medium school, but I could never speak English. I couldn't even speak one sentence of English. So मेरा डर ये था कि मैं English कैसे बोलूँगा और दिल्ली में बहुत सारे दिल्ली की crowd आती थी, which would speak English putter like
true.
And I would always get nervous in front of such crowd, people who had studied in fancy schools of Delhi. Ki I would never be able to compete with them, not because on merit, but because of just spoken English and
language barrier.
And we always thought people who can speak English are sort of better, more advanced. And for people, I'm sure this is true for a lot of people who come from small towns, they always have this fear. कि मैं हिंदी में कैसे बात करूं? Local language में कैसे बात करूं?
So how did you grow out of that fear? Like, did you take some classes, some counseling? Because now we actually have language mentorship sessions going in IIT.
So it was a little bit of challenge in the beginning, but I think a lot of my friends were similar, who were not very comfortable. So we just became friends, like misery loves company. So we would just bond with each other, talking about all these hardships, not just about courses, but also about not being able to speak English in front of these people. And we just became good friends. I think for me, even when I graduated from IIT, I wasn't very fluent with English, but over a period of course and work life, you just
develop it.
Yeah, develop it.
Okay, perfect. So let's take it step by step.
But just to add, like now if I think about this, I think it was a very stupid thing. And a lot of people from small towns, a lot of students from small towns and villages might have this, they might be very conscious about this thing. And I believe there's no reason for them to be conscious about something like language.
Something like language. Perfect. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your CGPA at that time?
Well, my CGPA wasn't the best. I was never a studious kid in school. I was never a studious kid in college. So I don't think I can tell you my CGPA.
Okay.
It wasn't bad. So I never flunked the course.
Okay.
But I wasn't also a topper. Like I was somewhere in between. I was always happy scoring a decent CGPA, not the best. But my dad would have probably killed me if I would have flunked any course. So I ensured that never happened. I remember there was one particular course that I almost thought I would flunk and I would not be able to pass. But I somehow managed to pass it by like 1 or 2 marks. So
I think I speak on behalf of everyone here that all of them have in that same situation. Perfect. So why don't we talk a little bit more about you come here? I think even your co-ed schools would have a better gender ratio than what you would have seen at IIT here.
Oh, of course. We were a batch of around, I think, I'm not sure, but I think around 300-ish something, 300, 400.
Yeah.
Out of which I was in mechanical. So mechanical was production of 102.
Yeah.
And guess how many were girls?
I would say 10, 20, I think.
2.
That's it.
So 2 out of 102. So it was very simple. 100 plus 2, 102. So the gender ratio was 1:50.
Yeah.
What I've heard nowadays is that gender ratio is 1:3 or something.
1:5-ish.
1:5-ish. Yeah. Oh, that is pretty good. From 1:50, it has gone to 1:5.
Yeah.
So
quite an improvement.
Congratulations to everybody.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the infrastructure. You said that when you first came in, you were wowed by the infrastructure.
Yes.
What do you think about it now? I think it must have developed a lot since 1999 and now.
I think it is much better. Like, of course, some of the buildings have grown older in last 20
The main building was here ever since 1999.
I think so. Like much before even when I joined, right?
Okay.
Some of these buildings also were there.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of new buildings around.
Yeah.
And they have much better infrastructure, much better quality as compared to what we used to have. I also hear, I've not been to some of these hostels, but I hear some of the new hostels are significantly better.
Yeah, they even have ACs.
They have ACs.
Like, very few though. We're still struggling on that part.
Which is phenomenal. Like, the only thing which I struggled in beginning was like hostel, because some of the hostels are very old and but which was fine. Like we just got used to it within a month. But apart from that, there were no complaints. I was pretty happy. Like coming from a small town, it was almost like Jannat. Like it was a great place. It was a paradise.
I think the happiness of coming to IIT like overrules your hostel conditions and everything and mess food. Like IIT mein hu. I think that
I loved my mess food. Like I can say this. Like a lot of people used to complain about it.
Yeah,
it was one of those crates. I just enjoyed my mess food, and the only thing that I did not like from mess food was that whenever they used to make palak paneer, instead of paneer they used to put aloo. So they used to give palak aloo.
Okay.
So apart from that one thing, I think I enjoyed my mess food also. Like I had no complaints.
Okay, that's good to hear. So again, let's talk a little bit about you had problem with your language barrier. Now, what was the placement scene during that time? Would language barrier be something that would affect your chances of getting placed at a company?
Oh, of course, yes. Because a lot of companies, the main mode of communication was English.
Yeah.
Right? and I graduated in 2003. And 2002 was a dot-com bust.
Okay.
So a lot of companies, IT companies, technology companies that used to come to campus, they either shut down shops, or they stopped recruitment in 2003.
Okay.
So my guess is 2003 was probably the worst year ever. And I'm not sure, but if I remember it correctly, that was the only year that I know of when the entire batch was not placed fully.
Okay.
And I was one of them. So I kept trying for multiple jobs.
Okay.
And I would get shortlisted.
Yeah.
I would go to the written exam. I would clear it. I would go for the interview, first few rounds of interview or GDs, and I would clear them. But when it came to the last round, I would always flunk. I would never be able to clear it. So it was almost end of the year. I remember it was February or sometime, and I'd still not got a job.
Yeah.
And salaries those days were not very good, by the way.
What was the salary like? What was the approximate salary that you were chasing, let's say?
I would like, if I tell you, you would laugh.
But I think that's something a US would
What is the salary nowadays?
I think the average would be somewhere around 15 to 16 lakh per annum.
16 lakh, right? So which would basically mean 1.5 lakh per month.
Yeah, yeah.
So if I remember it correctly, in 2003, the average salary was 1.75 per year, not
per year.
1.75. So you would basically get 10,000-12,000 rupees in hand, right?
Okay.
And guys, we would feel very happy. Like I did my summer internship at Tata Motors in 2002. My stipend used to be 1,200 rupees a month.
Okay.
So for 2 months, I earned 2,400 rupees. In 2,400 rupees, I managed my train ticket from here to Pune.
Okay.
I managed my return ticket from Pune to Delhi. I managed my 2 months of stay, my 2 months of food, 2 months of ghumna firna, ash karna. I went to Mahabaleshwar. I went to
all in that 2,400.
All in the 24. I also saved 400 rupees. So I spent everything in 2,000 rupees. And I was very happy. Like I also saved 400 rupees. I didn't have to take money from my dad.
Yeah.
That was my biggest happiness. And I could manage 2 months in 2,000 rupees.
Okay.
So when we used to get jobs of 10,000-12,000 rupees in hand, we used to feel this is like great. Like what else can you expect? Luckily, I got a much better job.
Yeah.
By February, March.
Yeah.
I got into a company which was paying the second or third highest package, domestic package, rupee package. And at that point of time, I used to get about 35,000-40,000 rupees a month.
Okay, so you got like 4 times the average at least.
3-4 times the average.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to spend that money, right?
Okay.
First month, I bought a mobile phone.
Yeah.
Second month, whatever money was left, that the second month salary, I bought a bike.
Okay.
These are 2 things that I never could afford in my life. Neither a mobile phone nor a bike. And starting third month, I didn't know what to do with that money because 2 months में सारी ख्वाहिशें पूरी हो गई.
Yeah.
So it was fun. Like that was much more than what I could have ever imagined.
Okay.
35,000 rupees a month.
Yeah.
इससे ज़्यादा कभी उम्मीद नहीं.
Okay, so a little bit more about. I'm sure that since you weren't placed till February, a lot of pressure would have been on you from your peer pressure, folks pressure, all of that. So how did you manage that overall?
It was tough.
Yeah.
Because it was tough because like you are always worried from a societal point of view, like from a parental point of view, like parents had huge expectations.
Yeah.
Just like that movie 3 Idiots.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You see that movie and then parents have this expectation. I grew up in a not so well-to-do family, right?
Yeah.
And then parents had this expectation that beta IIT gaya hai, paise kamayega, kuch karega, right?
Yeah.
It will be good for everybody, including the family, right?
Yeah.
And if you're not getting praise, it puts a lot of pressure saying what will really happen, right?
Yeah.
I had some of us, not only me, but many of my friends and me, we even started applying to call centers.
Okay.
अगर कोई job नहीं मिली तो क्या करेंगे? At least घर पे वापस नहीं जा सकते.
Yeah, okay.
At least we would go and work at a call center. So at least when my job was there, I was extremely happy.
Yeah.
But the reason why also there was a pressure, but also the reason it was not so much of pressure on the other hand was because again, Mystery Love's company.
Yeah.
So almost like 1/3 of a batch was not placed. So I wasn't the only one who was not placed to the end. There were another 35-40% people who were not placed. So you would just meet each other. You would give सांत्वना to each other. यार तेरा भी हो जाएगा. Don't worry, तेरा भी हो जाएगा. कुछ ना कुछ तो हो जाएगा. भगवान देख लेगा.
Yeah.
So with that thing, you would just move on. Like it was tough, but finally, like whenever everybody got placed, people were happy.
Okay. So would you recommend the students who are watching this, for example, to maintain that kind of peer company, have that kind of support group with yourself at all times? Was that helpful overall?
Of course. Like I would say some of my best friends that I formed in my life were my batchmates and my hostel mates from IIT, right? We are still in touch. We still meet very regularly. We talk to each other. Even though I went and did my MBA after that, I worked at multiple companies. I don't think I ever formed as strong a friend circle as what I formed at IIT. So, hugely recommend. Like, this is an asset that you will carry your entire life. So, no matter where you are, in which IIT, which campus, which hostel, which department, like, try and make as many friends. And this is the biggest asset that you will have your entire life.
Asset in terms of personal asset or a professional asset?
Both. It helps both personally and professionally. A lot of times, people reach out to each other for professional help also, not just getting jobs, starting businesses together. You would hear so many examples of people from the same college, including same IIT, getting together and starting a company.
Yeah.
People helping each other in getting good quality jobs. Even professionally, it is a big asset.
Okay, perfect. So now it's 2023. In this span of, let's say, 24 now, sorry, 24. In this span of 21 years, how many times did you actually visit campus?
A lot. When we just left, I think we used to come to campus a lot more often. Like, sometimes we would just come once in like a month or 2 months.
Yeah.
I used to also live in Delhi, so it was just easier. A lot of us would just plan saying, "Oh, chalo, aaj chai peete hain IIT mein. Aaj chal ke wahan pe khana khayenge."
Did you guys have night messes at that time?
We used to have one night mess called as KLS.
Okay.
I do not know if it is still there or not.
I don't think KL is there.
Yeah. So we used to have that particular canteen, and we would just eat over there. In fact, it was funny that after sorry, I'll just repeat this point. So after many of us married, many of us even used to bring our spouses to campus. And even spouses would hear all these like crazy stories. Oh, KLS में ऐसा हुआ था, उस hostel में ऐसा हुआ था. So, and many of us would just relive those memories again and again. So initially I used to come very often.
Yeah.
I think over the years it is reduced, and especially after COVID it went down a lot.
Yeah.
But lately in last 1 year I've been here 3-4 times. This is my, if you look at count 2023 and beginning of 2024, I think this is my 4th visit in last 2 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So did any of your friends, like, since you were talking about that, did any of you found your spouses in IIT Delhi in the time that you were here?
Good question. Boyfriends and girlfriends, yes. Spouses, I think few, not too many.
Okay.
But sorry, none of the names come to my mind, but there were few.
There were few. Fair enough.
In any case, the gender ratio was not so good enough.
Yeah.
As I told you, right? I know many department was 1:20, 1:30. In my department was 1:50.
Yeah.
So the chances of finding a spouse in IIT was
significantly less. Okay, perfect. So
this was a dukti luck, so don't bring it.
Okay, fair enough. I think fair enough. That works. Okay, so I will just cut here for a minute. Now we're in front of the iconic IIT Delhi main building. Now, so let's get into again. How did you, after exiting IIT, you worked at a corporate and then you went on to your MBA journey?
Yes.
I think a lot of the viewers watching it would have a lot of questions regarding the MBA decision and should you take it, not take it, engineering background, all of that.
Interesting question, $1 million question. Now, of course, there's no right or wrong answer. It all depends upon what you want to do in life. So, mere saath kya hua? I went and joined this company, which was paying me very good salary, as I said.
Yeah.
Really, really great salary from those days' perspective, more than what I could have expected. But I did not enjoy that much, right? Because it was all about building software solutions. And our clients used to be in US.
Yeah.
But we would be developing those software solutions in India. And for some reason, I didn't like that work too much. And I wanted to change my field. And the easiest way to change your field in those days was you go and jaake MBA kar lo, right? You go and do the MBA and then you can basically do something else.
Yeah.
So I didn't prepare too much for CAT. Actually, those days, I don't know about nowadays. CAT used to be a very easy exam. And the only thing required was speed.
Okay.
And if you can do questions, solve questions in a speedy way, you can basically get through it. So after 2 years, I decided to write CAT. I got into it, luckily. So I went to IIM Calcutta, which turned out to be a great thing for me personally because I met my wife over there.
Better gender ratio, I guess.
Yeah. So 2 years was a great investment, great time spent. We were probably like best friends, and over a period of time, we decided to get married. So my 2 years from that perspective,
yeah.
They were more eventful, more fun. 2 years of IIM Calcutta, then IIT Delhi.
Okay.
But that is also the reason I didn't make good friends in IIM Calcutta, because I only had one friend, which was my wife. Then so-called good friend, and then later on wife.
Yeah.
But I had better friends in IIT Delhi. But I found my life partner at IIM Calcutta.
Fair trade-off.
Yeah.
So post IIM, you went on to a corporate journey.
Yes.
Then you founded your startup that was Jabong.
Yes.
So can you walk us a little bit through that?
So, see, when I left IIT, I was pretty clear on one thing, that I just wanted to maximize on money, right? Because I came from a family, from a small town, and like a middle class, lower middle class family, right? So I just wanted to make some money, right? And working for 2 years, I realized that even though I was making good amount of money from those days, but my quality of satisfaction, job satisfaction was not there. So after MBA, at least I became a little bit smarter.
Yeah.
So I said, like, I want to be very clear about the kind of company that I would work for.
Yeah.
And the company that I chose was basically consulting.
Yeah.
So when I was graduating from IIM Calcutta, there were like 300 companies who came on campus, 300, whatever, 200, 300 companies. And I just applied to 3, McKinsey, BCG पे, because I was very clear कि अगर जाऊँगा तो इन्हीं 3 में से company में से जाऊँगा, किसी में और में नहीं जाऊँगा.
Okay.
Because my idea was I want to do other things in life.
Yeah.
Consulting gives you an option to try out different things.
Fair enough.
So I applied to these 3. I got shortlisted in all 3.
Okay.
My first job interview was with BCG. I got into it. Second job interview was in McKinsey. I got into it. Decided to join BCG, but finally ended up joining McKinsey.
Okay.
So, and that was another big, great moment. Like, I learned a lot at McKinsey, traveled the world, worked in India, Southeast Asia, Africa, worked across multiple sectors, and thoroughly enjoyed it, had great fun. And at some level, that also changed my life, because I just got exposed to so many different things.
Yeah.
So many different sectors, so many different skills that I learned over there. So it was pretty fun.
Oh.
And then I came back from Africa. Then we started this company called as Jabong, which was a fashion e-commerce company. This is in 2011.
Yeah.
Those days, it was hard to believe that anybody would buy shoes and clothes online.
Yeah.
So one of my friends, Praveen, who was one of my co-founders, he said that...
Did you meet him at IIT Delhi?
No, at IIM Calcutta,
Okay.
and then McKinsey.
Yeah.
And then he said, let's sell shoes and clothes online.
Okay.
So my initial idea was that, initial thought was it was a stupid idea, because who really buys shoes and clothes online? Like, the way to buy shoes and clothes is you go to a nearby shop and then you buy it from there.
Yeah.
And then, like, I just thought it would never work, right? But one thing led to another. We started the company. Some people started coming in, then hundreds of people started coming in, then thousands of people started coming in. So then we just thought maybe it's a good idea. Let's scale it up. So I ran that company for a few years, then I exited. And that's how the journey started.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Actually, one more question going back to your consulting background. So it makes sense for a consulting company to hire from, let's say, an MBA college. But now consulting companies are also coming on campus for, let's say, IITs.
Yeah.
And that is for BTech roles.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the perspective behind coming to IITs to actually hire undergrads?
So I'm not sure, because I also left McKinsey like almost like 12, 13 years ago. So, but I'm assuming this is for analyst role.
Okay, yeah.
So the way analysts work is very similar to an associate.
Okay.
They do multiple projects over a period of 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
And the expectation is after 2 to 3 years, they would go and do an MBA or their master's, like a MTech or a PhD.
Okay.
And then they're free to come back to the firm, meaning McKinsey.
Yeah.
I do not know about the companies, but I'm assuming BCG, Bain, etc. also have a similar kind of, should be having similar kind of thing. I would personally highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Because in 2-3 years, when you're just graduating from IIT, you are like probably 22, 23 years old, and you get to work with a lot of CXOs, senior clients, solve problems that are really important for them, and get very high quality exposure. So if you want to try out different things, and that too for a period of 2 to 3 years, I think it's a phenomenal program.
Okay. I think we'll close it on one last question now.
Please.
So, what does the future lie for you? What are you currently involved in, and what exactly does the future look for you?
Okay, so
like,
after Jabong,
for a man who's already achieved so much, what does your goal perspective have in mind?
So after Jabong, I joined this company, smartphone company, Xiaomi, to start that India business.
Yeah.
We became the largest in phones and TVs.
Yeah.
I exited that company about a year ago, and then I've just joined this group, which is based out of Abu Dhabi, and which is into building cutting edge technology like supercomputers, cloud computing, sovereign cloud, and AI models, satellites, etc. So we're trying to see if we can build some of them here in India. If you guys are interested, all the IIT folks watching it, if you want to work on AI, if you want to work on supercomputers, please ping me. I used to be a lot more active on social medias. Nowadays I'm not, but still ping me. And if you're keen, happy to work with all of you guys. But so suddenly I moved from selling clothes to selling phones, and now from selling phones, I'm moving to building supercomputers and AI models.
It's going up and up and up.
Trying to.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.